Why does it look so dark? There we go.
It's dark in here today.
It is dark, and
very rainy.
It's a very relaxed, rainy day.
Somewhat rainy.
It's cold, y'all. Our neighbors are walking by. We wanted to talk about, like the video we discussed, that we were going to be on TV, and that episode aired last weekend.
You can see it online now. Just a short little snippet from our hangout, and we did get a JW plug in there.
I don't know how hard it will be to find, but if you go back to the episode, we're the last section of that episode. So like the last, 5 minutes?
Yeah, so I was making the joke that we've got 25 minutes of fame left.
Yeah.
That was whatever 5 of it. Is. But they got a couple of things incorrect in there, and we just wanted to clarify some of those things. But a little bit about the experience. It was kind of cool. We had snow, as in North Dakota always does, in April. And
do we want to talk about a little bit about like the lead up to it? Because we
already are, so go ahead.
No, but I mean, like, we're working on the building to get it done, and we got everything we could in there because they filmed in April. And here, like, February, March is winter. April is often winter. But yeah, you were going to say, like, it snowed that morning. So we had a hard time getting cars out because a lot of stuff is like, it's in for the winter. Our doors are shut. Other people's doors are like iced up. They can't get stuff out. So we got out what we could.
Yeah, we got a few cars out. So they were late showing up just because of the weather, for one. So, and then when he showed up, when we first started that, we were saying that we wanted to be kind of not as much about us and more about, the town. Small towns need as much plug as they can get. And he's like, no, we're coming to do your hangout is what we're here for.
Here for you.
Yeah. And true to their words, any mention we made, we had the donut shop, the bread pan bakery, donuts bring stuff over. We had the coffee place next door, Have Coffee, which is a perfect blend. We had the flower place next door, do a nice arrangement for our big vase. And, and anything business related, they cut out of there. And I don't know if that has to do with, obviously that would hurt their sponsors. They don't want anybody on their plug. And I guess our friend that talked us into it, which was Clint Patolny, I noticed that I don't think they said much about his business either. They didn't mention our business, which was car related. Clint's is car related. And so anything that had to do with business related, they pretty much just cut out, annexed out.
Yeah.
But go ahead. You want to say something?
No. I was just thinking about what you were going to say, but yeah. They recorded for like 2.5 hours, somewhere around that. And then they condensed it down to literally like 5 minutes. So they cut out so much information. Like we had talked about every vehicle that was in there. Obviously the Model Ts, if you saw them in there, we featured those. But there was more of the story that was not published. That Anglia we talked about, that was not published at all. The Mustang, the fact that I'm trying to think, like at the beginning when you talked about cars and the importance of them, that they're like a
therapy,
childhood coping mechanism for Chad, and took all that out. So
and also where my car whatever started, which is that, and then it carried on. And again, some of that you could probably put on yourself in the sense of you leave out little excerpts in order to make it clear, and they're trying to come up with a story that flows and quickly
with their agenda of hangouts and what the thing is all about. Like for us, it's a garage and a warm place to work, our building that we're talking about, right? But for them, they want a car story, and
And I kind of gave him one with
Condensed.
Mustangs, you know.
Mhm.
So my love of Mustangs started when I used to sit on my aunt's lap and drive her '67 fastback with purple boat flake metallic and, you know, baby moon rims. Jacked up in the back, you know, the whole '70s thing. And I'd sit on her lap and ride around town and, you know, check out the new King Cobras, Mustangs, and the Trans Ams. You know, there was that era.
Yeah.
But she sold that car and bought a Datsun during the gas crunch years and quickly tumbled down my list of favorite people. But so you know, that story is cut out of there too.
Mhm.
But you know, I'm glad that I would have liked to have gone into more about the JW thing or in the situation that happened in Pennsylvania. But again, they cut out so much anyway. You're just trying to condense anything to get a few stories in there.
Yeah.
And that's what they did choose to air, is those two Model Ts.
Yep. And I want to say, like, having the opportunity to feature anything and to say anything, and the fact that they did say,
Or allow us to say.
or yeah, allow us to say, I guess, publish it, what we said, is the part about JW's. You know, we built that Model T for a convention, and of course they condense it down so much, but like the question was my Bible studies question, which turned into our question essentially to the elders. But the fact that I was able to say that, I'm so grateful that we did say that, we were able to say that, and it was published that way, that we had questions and they disfellowship based on those questions. Like, that tells the world, don't ask them questions.
Well, yeah, and it does. We got disfellowshipped for a doctrinal question, I think is the phrase that I used. And it was very concise, kind of vague. But again, you don't have the time frame to be able to go into great detail.
Mm-hmm.
But it was good to be able to at least say that much of it, and we will tell our story on that. As far as the Pennsylvania thing,
yeah,
the one thing that they messed up on, and again, this may have to do with their legalities and what they can and cannot say. Go ahead if you want to say. Sounds like you want to say something.
I'm just clearing my throat a little bit, trying to get the. How many people are here? 3 people. Welcome. Where do we start? Like, we've wanted to express this. I think we have one little scene, and I don't remember how long ago it was, of right at the end of a video we did. Chad edited just a very short clip of a train. And
that Model T is sitting in front of the tracks.
Yes, and that car is in that clip, exactly. And so we've never mentioned it anywhere on YouTube about that situation or what it was until now. We are going to tell you.
You did put a TikTok out there on your
Well, that's
TikTok.
what I said. On YouTube, we've never shared. But on TikTok, I did share a little bit because I was looking for some support from a realtor or a lawyer, because it was like another Twilight Zone moment of
such as our life.
Weird. I don't even know how to even start it. We found this property with an adjoining property, different owners.
So it was the bank building that we saw first, I believe. And it was...
Are you looking for a picture?
I'm looking for a photograph. If you've got one, great.
I do. And we are...
So we found the bank building, and we're like, oh, there's a cool Victorian across the street. And it's like the bank building would work where we want to do. And it's in Pennsylvania. The whole idea was to expand what we do here somewhere else. And in Pennsylvania, really in Appalachia, we don't want to be on the east side of the Appalachians, but more towards the west side or mid to the Appalachians, because you're closer to that era. And Pennsylvania, that area, Pennsylvania is a hot spot for a lot of car activity. The whole East Coast is, a lot of our stuff goes back that way that we ship. So our thoughts were we could find some place over there and have another location where we can kind of snowbird and semi-expand, however you want to put that. Do you have the other picture of it?
I don't have a bank building picture on here.
The picture from the corner.
Of the house?
Yes.
Yeah, I do have that
somewhere. Anyway, that whole idea was we got a hold of the guy with the house. He was going to sell it. He had it listed on Facebook. So we contacted the realtor. I should say that we contacted him, the realtor. Who knows now, right? Because that's the whole issue that there is. We contacted them, and we made a plan to go out there. We contacted the guy with the bank building and worked out a deal with him. Went and stayed in the house.
Here's the
because
house.
the thing is that there's the house. This is the house. They showed our house.
This is the house that rides should have shown.
Because that's the house that we were going to purchase, and the bank building would be directly across to this side of the.
Yeah.
Anyway,
we can show you the bank. Well, you saw the bank building and the video with the vehicle.
So when we went over there, we stayed because there's a train track that runs literally 60 feet from that front door. If you Dawson, Pennsylvania, just look it up. And it's got and it's not just a train, it is a full-on freight train
that runs
10 to 20 times a day.
Multiple times.
And it's like, oh my God, can I hack that? Because when I lived in Centralia, Washington, I lived, a stone's throw from a railroad track that was a freight train that barreled through maybe once or twice a night. And, that orangutan hanging from the horn would just jolt you out of bed. So anyway, I was like, can we hack this? So we went and stayed in the house. They were actually staying in her mother's house, taking care of her. So pretty much the only thing that was in the house were their cats,
For 5 years is what we were told. The cats have lived there for 5 years. We've been caring for her mother. They were caring for the mother for the last 5 years. She was sick. And the day before we went out there the first time, she died. And so they were all doing funeral things, and we were just trying to just look around.
We're not going to bother you guys too much. We just wanted to stay in the house. We will pay you because it was and at a bed and breakfast, which, bed and breakfast, we've got one. And we turned down 99% of our inquiries because it's not like a main income or anything, so that's just kind of the way it is. Anyway, so we did stay in the house, and it was like, okay, well, that is loud, but can we handle it? Maybe it's worth the risk. We can try this. And so we told him when we got there, we can do anything and we can handle anything, but you need to be honest with us.
Just be straight up. Whatever it is, tell us the worst.
He's owned the house for 30 years, right? So it's not like
there should be any surprises to him.
Yep. So anyway, I'll just get to the crux of the matter. I go around to the one side. It's kind of sagging. One of the doors won't open up. It's facing the bank building.
Can I say something really quick? Because we'd stayed in there, and this was like in July. And then we were like, yep, we're going to do this. That sounds good. Let's get a contract together. And we got a contract together for the bank building across the street with the other separate party. And then
made our second trip out there to finish the deal.
And then when we came back, we were like, okay, there's a car show coming up this October. Our contract is going to line up exactly that way. Let's build a car for the car show and showcase the car with the bank building, something that would be like to period of the bank building, which would be like, 1900s, early 1900s. And so we built this car, and then we were going to take out that car. We took out another Model T, and then it was like early October. It would be exactly today or like 1st of October, whatever, it doesn't matter. We went out there, and so we were doing our final
walkthrough, make sure nothing has changed. And some of the things that he told me, the door doesn't open because of the humidity. Well, I go outside, and I'm like, okay, now I'm here, and we're actually going to buy it. So I'm going to do things that I wouldn't the first time, when I was just there to kind of check it out.
We brought a ladder. We brought, all kinds of
stuff to repair things because we planned on buying it. Things to button up the bank building because it's leaking like a sieve.
Yeah.
And it's on its last legs of demise. Its chances of survival are pretty low. They're slim.
At that point, it was like right on the last moments of the county getting involved to be like, we're going to tear this thing down. It's pretty rough.
Yeah.
So we're like, what, the day or two before, we're walking around, and you were going to tell the story about the.
Yeah, so now we're there the second trip, and I'm
Yes.
trying to, like I said, now it's a whole different attitude. I can attack this thing, more than I would just staying there to just kind of get the feel for it. I can really check things out. So like that door that was stuck and he said was humidity, I'm yanking on it as hard as I can to get it open. The bottom is swinging out, 6-8 inches, an solid oak door, and the top still won't budge. So I'm like, that's just not humidity.
Right. That's not right.
So anyway, I go along that outside, and I see it's kind of sagging, and there's like this bubbling. I don't know how to explain it underneath the window. So I grab my ladder, go around there, and I push on it. And literally, I don't know who painted that thing, but the paint on it is fabulous because it was thick. Because I pushed on that, and it was like a balloon. There was
nothing behind the paint.
There was nothing there. It was like the paint was the only thing there, and the paint was just I could push in and out on it like a balloon. So it was like, wow, that is just crazy.
And I'll tell you where it is, exactly what we're talking about. Because I think it's on, was it this turret right here, right? So it was this side, but you can't see it. This is where he was. So he had his ladder appear on the second floor window section.
Yep.
And that's where that paint was feeling like a balloon.
And I mean, like, a huge section,
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, well, that ain't good. And I climb down, and, again, I'm looking for him to tell me some of these things that are wrong with it. Like he told me the tree that was out front fell on the porch, and they had the porch replaced.
And the fence had a repair done to it because it was damaged or whatever.
Yeah. So I went in there, and I'm looking at the banisters, beautiful banisters on the house. But I put my fingers underneath, and they're all hollow. Like, what? I mean, and I'm like, how hollow? And I put my finger up into the holes that are in there, and I'm going sideways, and they're like, I can't feel anything inside of it. So you've got your banister rail, you go up underneath, and it's all hollowed out. I'm like, what in the hell's up with that? So then,
and I want to say, before we had even started on our first trip there, we were like, okay, this is exciting, but at the same time, we want to be absolutely sure about our decision making. And we prayed so much. If there are red flags, please show us the red flags.
And we found the railroad track the next day, which was a big red flag.
It was, but I mean, that's what we prayed for. We wanted to know what the red flags were. So going back to this about like the railing, the paint that was feeling all like a balloon. And then when you were working on, we're not afraid of water damage. We're not afraid of any kind of
I'm not afraid of anything if I know it's there.
Right.
So again, we've been talking now since our first trip, which was in
July.
And then now it's October.
And
so we've been discussing these things or what they should have ample opportunity, even with his family member dying, to share with me these details.
And be forthright.
Yep. So anyway, and we never got a disclosure. And I didn't know it then because North Dakota is you don't have to have a disclosure. Realtors always have one, but it's not the law. Pennsylvania, it's the law. We didn't know that. So anyway, we just figured the guys own the place for 30 years, give him a little bit of leeway there. They're going through a family situation now, trying to sell a house. Just, we want to think the best of everyone.
Yeah.
So anyway, I feel up underneath the railings. The next thing is that I find termites, and I'm like, oh boy. So I go around to the other side of the house, and
you found actual bugs, or
I found what I thought was a termite. And of course, it was like down below the dirt a little bit. I was digging up on the corner of one of the house in a different location, just checking some things. And I thought what I saw was a termite. I'm like, okay, we don't have termites here in North Dakota. It's too cold. They pretty much don't live here.
Yeah.
And same way with an Idaho, it's too dry. There's not. I'm not saying they don't exist, but it's not a huge problem there. So anyway, I go to the other side of the house, and this would be on the. You could probably show the picture again.
The west.
Show the picture of you.
Oh, sure.
And that shows the angle
the
of the house with the bank building in the background. You have a better context. So it's on that side of the house. So there's the bank building in the background.
So he's talking about, like, do you see where that window is there, and that little small window? I can't really point very easily.
It's right here in this doorway.
So, like, right here, there's a basement window right below that.
Yep.
And that's the window he's talking about.
So also that door wouldn't open. And he says, oh, I've never been able to.
This one, right?
I've never been able to open it. I
There.
thought that was kind of odd. What do you mean you've never been able to open it? So I'm like, you would think after 30 years you'd figure out I want at least to open all the dang doors and windows, right? So anyway, I'm like, okay, well, I go around and start looking at that side of the house. And that door, the threshold was covered in metal. I'm like, that's odd. You know, it's not like.
And you could just lift it up and there was nothing underneath. No wood.
And so then going to that basement window, it was like leaned in against it. The outside window was. So like storm window. We've got them in this too. I pull them out every year. I lean them up against there. Not a big deal because I want the ventilation downstairs in the basement. So we've got these outside windows on the basement windows, and then there's inside ones that swing down, and then the outside ones I can remove. So I usually take the outside ones and just lean them against there, so that way it can still get ventilation, but yet not be open, right, for the basement. So not a big deal. I didn't think anything of it, but I'm going to pull it off and take a look at it. Well, I pull it off, and that basement window was rotted out, and not just rotted out, tracking everywhere.
You could see the
like
little
termites.
Yeah, you could see the.
So I'm like, okay, well, let's
trail.
go inside and look. So I go inside and look, and the stairway runs up that wall going upstairs as well.
Yeah.
So I go under the stairway, and there was tracking under the stairway, and there was rot in there from termites. And I'm like, oh boy. And I go inside and took a closer look at the baseboard that runs up the stairway, and sure enough, there's tracks going up the baseboard. So who knows what it looks like
to
underneath
the second
there.
Floor.
Yep, to the second floor, all the way up. I'm like, oh boy. So anyway, I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to go up to the roof. And by the way, he's going in and out because they're moving stuff out, this whole time. And because we planned on buying it that weekend. And anyway, I'm up on the roof looking at a place where he said was leaking, because I asked where the leaking was. It was in the kitchen, and I was inspecting that, and didn't see anything too horrible there. But as I was coming down the ladder, he pulls up. And how did that conversation go? He says,
I thought you said something like, well, I've got good news or something, because you said something.
Well,
about...
I said something about that roof leaking. I've got good news and bad news or something. Yeah. And I said that, this roof, I don't see why it's leaking here. I sealed that up. And then and then he says, oh, I thought you were going to say you found critters. Why would you make that statement? And then I said, well, quite honestly, over here, I think I've found termites, and just that statement. And I'm like, and it's not just here. The other side has a big, balloon on the wall type of thing.
And we showed him, and he's like, that's just water damage.
Oh, that's just, and I'm like, that's not just
water damage.
So that's more, he's just being very dismissive.
Yes.
And I said, and then the underneath the railings, they're all hollow. And he says, oh, that's just borer bees. I'm like, just borer bees? And when were you going to tell me all this? You were supposed to be being forthright. it's like he had this idea of the old Latin phrase, and I don't remember what the Latin phrase is, but it means buyer beware. Like that's the way it is. And that's just not the way it is in PA anymore because too many people pulled this shady shit. So anyway, we're like, you need to, I'm going home. I'm packing up all my stuff and we need to get an inspector.
And it was hard. I think you got really
sick to my stomach.
Yeah, you were feeling it. And it took a whole 24 hours because we were like, should we do it anyways? Should we just go ahead and just buy the thing? We're already under contract with the bank building too. And we'd bought materials and brought materials to fix the bank building. We've got footage of all this too that we've never put out onto YouTube. But it was a really hard emotional thing because it was like we either have to say no, we can say we're going to do it anyway, or we're going to say we need to renegotiate some of this stuff because you're not being forthright. And then we called a lawyer in between and looked up a bunch of information online to see what our rights were in PA. And then we learned, okay, there needs to be a disclosure. And that was our reason for terminating the contract that we currently had because we didn't have a disclosure.
Terminating and we have made terminating and renegotiating our contract.
Correct.
And I think that was I don't know if we said terminated or how we said
Kelly
that.
just put it on there. Thank you very much.
Yes, that's right. Kivet and Emptor. Yes, that's right. Yep. So that's correct. So anyway, learning that they had to have a disclosure, we're like, okay,
we got to do the right thing. Everybody needs to do the right thing.
That's right. I realized that you've had a lot going on in your life. I feel like you're not being honest with me and forthright. So let's just renegotiate this. And he offered it for a less price. And I'm like, no, I need to get an inspector over here because this is more than I know. I know a lot and I know what I can handle and I know what I don't know. And one of the things I don't know is about termite damage.
Bugs. And damage and assessing that.
And bugs, some bugs not all bugs are equal. Not all damage is equal.
That's right.
So I need to have an inspection done where somebody that knows more than I do just to cover the bases.
So we had a new written thing out. Just handwritten. That we were going to renegotiate a contract. And
we signed, he signed, we went
home. We had a situation with one of our rentals here. So we went home and that
at the same time.
So that was like on a weekend, I guess. It was a Friday. By Tuesday.
And Tiffany had a minor.
Oh yeah, I had a little
emergency surgery thing she had to do. And so that was just nothing major, just something that minor that had to come up, and it could have been major. One of those things you just don't know. So she had to do that. So then we're trying to juggle all this at the same time. So anyway, we asked for the disclosure.
Yeah.
The realtor claims that she wasn't the realtor and that she was just acting as a friend. But I signed the contract through the realtor that you work for.
The agency.
Yeah, but it wasn't signed as me as the realtor. We were just using it as a template. I'm like, what in the hell is going on here? So anyway, I'm like, whatever the case, he needs to give me a disclosure.
Yeah.
Oh, he's trying to do his best, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. Legally, I need a disclosure. That's what has to happen. I could literally, well, you're not doing things right exactly either. I'm like, I could literally sue him for the price of the house.
And more.
Simply because he didn't give me disclosure.
Yeah.
We're not those kind of people. That's why we're asking for him just to put down on paper what he knows about this house.
Honestly.
They ghost us.
Yep.
They ghost us, list the house on Zillow.
Yep. And every other
continue to ghost us. Sell the house within the week. Pretty much they had an offer on it.
Yep. They had a contract signed.
But it was just, I just could not believe the underhandedness. I swear, because they always talk about the used car salesman. I think real estate
as being shady.
is the new shady. Real estate is the new shady, you know.
Oh,
Anyway, then we did get the disclosure
a
later on
month. It took a whole month to get the disclosure.
because I would get on there and I would contact a realtor through Zillow, and they always say, "Well, I'll just have to transfer you over to the." Oh, I'm not there right now. I'm in Pittsburgh, and you know this place is in Dawson, which is 2 hours from Pittsburgh, and so they're like, "Well, there was
An
a
hour and a
there
half.
was a there was a disclosure on site. Okay, can I get it? Well, I'm not there right now. I'd like to see that disclosure. Well, I'll have to put you in contact with the realtor, the listing agent. You mean the one that's ghosting me? But that's the runaround that I was getting nonstop. So anyway, and I called her real estate agency, and wouldn't you know it, he's out of town at a real estate convention in freaking Miami or something,
Texas, I think. I don't know where.
wherever it was. Anyway, so then he gets back in town finally,
The next
again,
week,
a month.
after the contract's been signed and all this, and
Yep.
there was all this back and forth stuff.
And finally, I get the disclosure, and they lied through their teeth. They
All
just
over the disclosure.
lied. So we did end up going to filing a complaint with the
Pennsylvania,
Uh,
not the Realtors Association,
Yep.
but it's like the department that does all the licensing for different.
You know, the
businesses.
shady departments that are government that work in conjunction with the realtors to actually not do anything yet, and let you know a year later after it's, you know, too late to file a lawsuit that they're not going to do anything about it, and they're
Yeah.
not going to tell you why.
And in the meantime, we're still under contract for the bank building, but we couldn't just.
We just let that expire.
We couldn't do anything. Like, I guess we could have finished purchasing the bank building, but then at that point, it was like it would be a liability. We didn't have a house. We just had the bank building. What are we supposed to do with this? You know. Well, our whole life is here, and yeah.
So that was the whole background of that whole thing, and it was it was a shame because we do ship a lot of stuff to Pennsylvania. It would have
Back
been
east.
that bank building would have been a great storage building as we restored it and did, you know, car stuff out of it. And yeah, you know, Hershey, Pennsylvania, they're one of the biggest swap
Carlisle.
meets in the country, and yeah, in Carlisle,
Pennsylvania.
there's a lot of car guy stuff on the East Coast that, you know, would have been good for us.
Yeah.
So it would have been a good expansion point, if you want to call it that, a place to be able to snowbird in the winter when North Dakota gets really tough. But yeah, all that blew away, and so that's how that whole story came about with that. But again, the error was they showed our house
instead of the one in PA.
Yep, and our house, you know, we made it clear that that's the house we bought on eBay. You know, so that's.
Yeah.
You know, it's got its own stories in there. It's like somebody else said in town. I think they could have given you more than 5 minutes, and they should have been able to do more than 5 minutes. But we're grateful that we were able to get on there at all and at least do something with the JW mention.
Yes, and I am grateful we were able to do that. And what's funny is I said to Chad, the same week that they aired that episode, it was the same week there was an unassigned group in this community that hasn't been here in 7 or 8 years probably.
Right.
And just the timing of that is really funny to me. But yeah, so I guess that's the story with the PA, that little car and the bank building and that house, and I don't know, it's bittersweet because it would have been such a fun experience. It would have been. I love the history. I love the history of that area and the bank building and that house and the woman that she was like the coal queen.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much good history back in that.
And the people
Gilded Age,
and the people that did end up buying it, they just did, in my opinion, stupid things. Like, you know, one of the things you don't do ever is pull out the old radiators. You don't do it. Don't do it. You want to add forced air? Add forced air. No problem adding forced air. But the old radiator systems are the most economical and efficient. I mean, we've had all sorts of different heating systems in the houses we've owned. And an old boiler system with the 2-inch cast iron pipes with the radiators. Granted, if they're rotted away, you might have to replace them or something like that, but it was still functioning. So
Yeah.
there's no reason
I
to
want to
rip it out.
comment on that real quick too, just to go back a little bit. Remember we were talking about that spot where it was like balloon, that paint was ballooned?
Yep.
And then that was the same place where those doors were that wouldn't open.
Yep.
There's an old radiator, like in the heat, that what he's talking about with the heat. And if y'all know about those radiators, they're like a gazillion pounds. They're so heavy. And this was literally off the ground like a good 6 inches. So like the floor had fallen away from the radiator. There was some weird thing going on. I don't know if the termites have just eaten up all of that side of that house,
or if it's
what
just
happened.
The floor sagging. That's the part we didn't get to, that we'd have had an inspector check out. Because you know what? Floors sag over time in old houses. That's it. Warping floors, that kind of thing happens. And that's not much you can do about it. And I'm okay with that. I'm not okay with a bug eating out, all the, structural components to where it's sagging, So that can be very problematic.
What it did is the fact that they were not forthright made us question every single thing. Because
everything they said.
If you're not being honest here, what else are you not being honest
Especially with? Coming out of JW land. Because now I have to question everything you said, because what you told me, that I can ask questions, that's a lie. Mm-hmm. That's false. So what else did you tell me that's false? And then you have to go back through all the things that you've learned and you go, okay, well, is this true? I don't know if that's true either. I'm not sure if that part's true either. This is true. I think that's true. I agree with this still, but I don't agree with that. You're lying there. So I mean, that type of critical thinking that you had to do as a JW, now you're having to do it all over again with somebody who was just dishonest. And all we told them was, whatever it is, no matter how bad it is, just tell us what it is, so we know ahead of time.
So we know what to do.
If there's borer bees, tell me. Yeah. All the railings have borer bees in them. They get underneath there on the underside. I tried to cover them with metal. That's all you have to say. Okay, then at least I know what it is and how to approach it. I can see how far the damage has gone.
Yep. So anyway, going back to the new owners, what we have learned, and the only reason we know this is because on Facebook we are on the group Our Old House or something like that, and they had posted on there about it, and so we're like, that's interesting that we were told this later.
But they told us. They also they had to redo the whole roof, because it was leaking, and they don't know how to do this stuff.
They pay apparently,
it all. So that can be extremely expensive, or they can do some of it, which is good. And I'm not trying to bag on them. It's just, it's sad knowing that we can do it all as far as that goes, So in the bank building, for example, we had it already laid out to where we were going to fix the skylights and redo the roof when we were there.
Yeah.
But anyway, now they have, because the state or the county had said, we're going to tear down the bank building, and they sent out notifications. Now they have bought the bank building as well, to try and save it. And, I wish them the best as far as that goes. It's a huge project, especially when they started a GoFundMe page, which they've gotten like $200, and
it's not going to get you very far.
Ain't going to go anywhere, but,
the majority of the roof wasn't awful.
Oh no, the whole roof was bad.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was. The metal was rotting through it. The clay part
was good. All the gabled part was okay.
It was okay.
But the flat section and then where the skylights would be having to be replaced.
Yes. And not even all the clay part was good. A lot of it was okay, but the problem is you got 100 years on that stuff.
Sure.
And I don't remember if it was clay or slate now.
I think it was slate, actually.
And the slate has a shelf life as well. It's not like slate lasts forever. Slate is what they coat the roads with around here. And the joke around here is that, you laid, because you'll go buy gravel and they'll bring you slate. And we'll say, you got a new mud road. That's the joke. Because slate just breaks down and turns to mud in short order, especially when you're driving on it. So the point is that slate just ends up turning into a clay mud. And so even on a roof, it has a shelf life. And if it's 100 years old, it'll start breaking up and go away too. So
Yeah.
I'm not saying when that would happen. I'm just saying it's not like it's clay has a longer life in some instances than slate does. Of course, there's different kinds of slate too. But anyway, yeah, but there was like, and we did a whole walkthrough video on that we have,
Yep.
where the floor was rotting out of it in several places. One of the things that really concerned me is the wall, the back wall had pulled away from the floors about that far. And so it was leaning toward the creek, which it's literally on ground zero on a creek that runs by
It's
there.
beautiful.
It's cool as far as that goes, but a lot of problems. The property is, so between the railroad track is 60 feet from the front door. So there's like a road that goes there. Then it's the railroad track. Then,
Highway.
yep, the highway. And then there's a river that's about another, I guess, 200 feet away, I guess.
Yeah, probably.
Something like that.
And then that creek runs into the river.
Yep.
It
So yeah, there
would've-
were a lot of neat things about it and a lot of downsides, and
Yeah.
the one downside was just enough to make us balk and go, no, we need to get an inspection done, and that was enough for them to ghost us. So pretty underhanded stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a weird experience, and it's sad for us because it would have worked so well for us. It
Yep.
would have worked so well. And then the building next door to the other side of the bank building. So it would have been the house, there's a highway, the bank building, and then there was another little building
On the other side
on
of
the
the
other
creek.
side.
Again, ground
Yes.
zero. I mean, the creek just flowed between the buildings. It was kind of odd,
But that building was owned by somebody like from somewhere, some Carolina. I don't remember which one.
And it was gone.
And it was also notified to be torn down. So we could have bought that building and had like a pretty decent shop built for like whole vehicles instead of just parts.
And that's what's really sad is because, I mean, in a town like that where
there's nothing there. There's like 400 people.
Yeah.
And there's not even a fuel stop. Like it's nothing. There's nothing there.
Yeah.
It's near Connellsville, which is about 5 miles from this place. And that would be like your grocery store.
Yep.
You know, you get all your stuff.
But that would have been a help to that community. What we'd have done.
We would have put them on the map, actually.
Well, comparatively,
a little map,
comparatively, in our little circles, I guess.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, but they were like in the one side of the bank building. Literally, there's a hole that's probably in the wall 4 feet. That whole section of the wall in that main room was gone. Yeah. And brick wall was gone. So I mean, it needed saving quick. Hopefully, they're able to do something that's other than just scabbing it back together. Because scabbing a building like that too many times, not doing it right, don't help much.
Otherwise, they just bought up some liability.
Yeah, a big liability.
Yeah.
You're talking. That is a huge brick building.
I think it's is it 30,000 square feet?
I don't remember.
I think it's 30,000 square feet. It's huge, but it's awesome.
Yep, it's a neat building.
So anyway, that's our little story of far as like, I really felt like we needed to clarify that section. If you saw that in the rides episode. And
we did tell them that, but again, they're trying to protect themselves legally, I'm sure. You know, to where they don't want to be showing somebody else's house. With our house, again, it's a neat story in itself because we bought it on eBay. You know, we've been selling on eBay for 26 years. You know, on this username that we have, so it's kind of noteworthy as far as that goes in its own right. So all that kind of got washed away, but overall, it was a good experience. You know, it was fun. It was good to be out there and give Langdon a little shout out as far as that goes. It was good to be able to mention, at least in passing, being disfellowshipped for a doctrinal question, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that was pretty much all we wanted to do as an update for that. It's only been like 45 minutes. I don't really want to keep beating a dead horse about this property. If you have any questions for us. I saw that there was an annual meeting video out. Somebody had shared.
An annual meeting? Oh, an annual meeting, sorry.
Somebody had shared it. and I don't care to watch it, but I did read a little bit online, and it just seemed like it was very deflated. Like there wasn't really much in it. No announcements, no new
Drama.
light, no drama. I don't know if y'all have watched it or not, but yeah. And I think they said something about like there was a bunch of publications that were going to be released for the ministry, and maybe I don't know what else they said. I don't know. And I don't really care that much. Just find it a little bit interesting that they keep producing things that people just use as, they don't. What are they using it for? More clutter. As I always say to that scripture that says to the
Making of many books, there is no end.
yep, yep, exactly.
Well,
yeah,
that's all we wanted to do.
yeah. Do you have any questions for us? Thanks for the few people that came on and listened to our little story, and I guess it'll be published and others can watch it too. It's not like it's anything related to JW Land, but
only reason we do lives is because then we don't have to edit.
Yeah, it's a lot easier for us to commit to a video when we're like, okay, we can do the video and then just publish it instead of having to
get on there, share something.
And it takes so long to export a video too. That's the other thing. My computer's tied up forever.
But yeah, hopefully, it's interesting that you have these experiences in life that are similar to what you've experienced in JW Land, and I'm sure you guys have that too. To some degree, you have something that happens in your life that gives you a flashback of what you went through, and I suppose that's natural with everything.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Does anybody have anything for us?
If not, we're going to cut out.
I just recognize a couple people here.
Yeah, that was another thing I'd mentioned there, and that didn't get mentioned is my brother's winery. That didn't get mentioned either.
Oh, yeah.
But anything business related, I'm sure that they've, and that makes sense because how could you if you've got sponsors and whatever else? That's how you make that's what's paying your way. So you can't just bring in sponsors for free.
Are you folks going to sell your place and relocate to PA? Well, we were looking to expand. That's always been kind of the goal, is to expand that way. Who knows after that? Depends on what would happen over there. Our work really is sourced here. So.
Well, that's because we live here. So who knows what would be somewhere else.
But that's what I'm saying is we don't really know. We only know what we know.
But it's got to be, for us, it's good. We've got good properties here. And so we would need specific properties somewhere else, even just to expand. And that one happened to be. We're not going to buy just any old place. I wouldn't feel it. You know what I mean? Even here, the properties we buy are historic. The other house we bought, restored and sold, that was an old big home. One of the other ones we have here, I don't know if we'll ever get to it or not. Our goal is to buy and restore them, or at least save them from being demolished. There was one that was right across from the Blue House. We've got video of that when it was taken down. It was the oldest house in Langdon. And, it's just what happens when old structures aren't protected correctly they just, nobody wants to take on the work is what I say. A lot of people think it's expensive. It's not. It's not expensive.
It's expensive if you're not willing to do the work.
Yes. Yeah. And a lot of times it's, get on another soapbox here, but a lot of times fixing old houses, people want to apply modern principles to old houses. And that's very erroneous. So, for example, we were looking at a building in West Virginia, and not to buy, just looking at a building in West Virginia. It was called the Poor House. Go look it up.
Which one was this one?
I don't know. It was built on this whatever county it was built on the fairgrounds. Well, or at least that's where their fairgrounds is for that county. I don't remember where it's at now. But before it went down, they were trying to raise money for the new
Oh,
windows.
yeah.
Well, the new windows were going to cost them $250,000. And this is what happens when you get bureaucracy involved in old buildings, because they're like, okay, so in order to get the government funding, so the government funding, these grants, all this BS that they have, in order to do that, you have to hire government contractors. Well, and you have to do the certain kind of materials that they want. When really, all that needed to be done is find an old craftsman or somebody who's going to do things like an old craftsman. They literally give out flat single pane glass for free. You can find it for free just about everywhere. Somebody's replacing their windows. Put the word out there. They'll bring you their old windows. And you might have to do a sash repair here and there or something like that. But you put the single pane glass in, a little caulking, and you're good to go. Instead, they've got a $250,000 bill in order to do these windows, is what it's going to cost them.
It's
And so then they
useless.
go, oh, we're never going to be able to afford this. And they tear the whole building down because bureaucracy, it does what bureaucracy does. They just, oh,
And
they
we've
destroy
we've
history.
we've looked at quite a few places like what you're talking about, where it's like there'll be an owner or even a group or it's like some kind of committee or organization that will own the property, and they'll do nothing with it. It's literally just sitting there with nothing in it for years and decades,
A
and all
current
this
one,
time goes by, and then it's in so much disrepair that it will take quite a bit
yeah,
of effort
well,
and sometimes expense depending on what it is.
well, they let the problems that are repairable lead to the problems that aren't repairable. So, for example, keep the water out. Number one,
For sure.
So like that bank building we're talking about, put a roof on it.
Mhm.
Get the water shedding off the outside is one. Again, it doesn't matter if the windows are fixed perfect. Just repair them. Put a flat pane of glass in them. Keep the birds out. From deteriorating. Birds bring fecal matter. Fecal matter brings bugs. I mean,
Yeah.
it's all those. It's one thing that leads to the next. So, what happened to that poorhouse is that they ended up tearing it down, and it was called the poorhouse. But you look at it, it was just a beautiful
awesome.
building, turrets and just large. And those are the kind of buildings we need. We have to have a lot of storage space, so we need large spaces. So,
and we could build a pole barn, but we're not those types of people. We would rather utilize buildings that need remediation and support a community that needs something for them.
Yeah.
And
do something to the building that you can save.
We like architecture.
Not that we can save everything, and we've got buildings like that one house that we've got down here. We'd like to save it, but we don't have time,
Yeah.
And will we get to it? I don't know. I'd like to. It's a really cool old house. I should show a picture of that one. I looked that up on my phone. But what's the other one that's in that? There's a huge building. A lot of them are centered around coal or the old big money. So that would be. It's not Grafton. It's because there's a Grafton, West Virginia.
Isn't it in Grafton?
Is it in Grafton, West Virginia? It might be in
Grafton. Yeah.
So Grafton, West Virginia, they have, somebody can double check me if they want, but there's a huge hotel there with the train depot attached. And so a nonprofit, here we go, the government bureaucracies, because these nonprofits, these NGOs are the same thing. They try to pander to these government programs to get the money, and they're basically end up being, a lot of them just end up being money grabs. And then they have to, the amount of money they get, they do some little trivial thing which runs out very quickly, and they cover 50% of the expenses. But they will make it to where it's 100% of their expenses, but they put it on paper as 50% of their expenses so they can walk away with more. Or, so if I've got a company that does that kind of work, I'll, be in on this NGO, that this nonprofit that will get the government grant and then hire my company to come in and do the work, and then the paper shuffle the other 50% of the profits that are, or the other 50%, because the government grants will only cover 50%. If you understand the games that I'm trying to get to, that they'll play.
Sorry, I couldn't find it on your phone, but I had a picture of it, I think, in my.
This is the other house we have.
That's the original picture.
Yeah.
And it doesn't look anything like that, by the way.
The tornado, the top of there was a tornado came through here in 1909, and I think it took off the top of that spire of the turret. But very cool old house. We'd love to bring it back and save it.
Yeah.
But these government agencies get involved in that. But look up that one. That is a huge building.
Tell me again what you said. That was the one in Grafton, and it's the railroad. Is that the one you were talking
about?
Yes,
it's the
railroad.
I don't know which railroad it is.
That's a perfect example.
But it has the depot, which they spent the grant money they had on the depot, did a little bit to it, which was a money grab, and it was, we are going to help out the community. It's always framed as this big old, thing that they're going to do for the community, but it's got no real backing behind it, except for, government, whatever. You need to have an artisan who owns it and is going to do something with it. Otherwise, chances are it's going to go down the toilet. Yeah. And so anyway, sure enough, they make these big claims of what they're going to do for the community, and they've fixed it up and shuttered the doors, haven't done anything with it.
And the community then is like,
what did that do for us?
What is that doing for us exactly?
And but the contractors got their government money, and that's all it was set up for in the first place.
There was another property that we kind of thought about. We try to be very, how do I say, like creative, I guess. And Chad loves turrets. Where's your brother's winery? It's in North Idaho.
Post Falls, the best winery in Post Falls, because it's the only one.
No, but we like
Post Falls, Idaho. Sorry.
No, it's okay. They call it a turret. So like the tower that's on the side of a Victorian is called a turret, and Chad can spot one of those on Google Earth, just like an eagle can spot them in any community, just about. And so there was another property that we were looking at. I think it was also in West Virginia, and it was just like a few, I want to say like 2 blocks from this huge school. And the school was no longer a school. They were even talking about like needing to tear it down. There's still electricity plugged in, but it needs things. And we thought about that and looked at that. But again, if we can't get the whole puzzle piece together, the puzzle's just not going to work. It just isn't going to work. If we can't get the building, you need somewhere to
live while you're there, and you need somewhere to work out while you're there.
Yes, exactly. And that didn't work out. And then when we went back, why did we go back? We went back to get the Daytona and to go to that graduation. And we drove through and we were just looking around the community, and they had tore that school down. So it's like, well, that is an opportunity that will never be an opportunity for us.
Yep. Right. Yep.
That'll never be an opportunity for us now, because now that building can no longer serve anyone.
That bank's the school was torn down.
The school was torn down.
Yep. It was an old school. Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, that was in West Union. That was in West Union, West Virginia.
That's right.
Yeah, beautiful Victorian there. There was an old school there. So that's the kind of, so as far as what we need to continue doing what we're doing and expand what we're doing somewhere else. And I don't know what, it would never be a situation I see to where we just sell everything here and move there. No. It'd be more like a transitional expansion and snowbird. I'm not saying we'd never move. I'm not the one who causes things to become, but
we're not spontaneous anymore.
I don't know about that. We're pretty spontaneous, but
we were very spontaneous when we moved here. We literally found this place on eBay, bought it, 6 months.
Sight unseen.
We were gone.
Sight unseen. Yep.
And so we were way more spontaneous.
What I mean, sight unseen in person.
20 whatever years ago, but now it's like we've got way more I don't know, way more questions, way more things to consider. Yeah. And now we have sort of a different outlook on life because we're not serving this organization anymore. You know, it's just a different perspective. It is.
Yeah. There was another one we were looking at that just sold in New York. They wanted $1 million for that place, though.
Oh, that was
it was neat, though. But trying to figure out how would you, especially in New York, the taxes were $25,000
I'm not
a year.
interested in New York.
Are you kidding me? How would that ever be able to even happen? You know,
to me, I don't. Okay, North Dakota is got to have the worst winters in the country, and I can say that because I live here and I've lived in other areas, and I know it's horrid.
And you can say, oh well, what about Minnesota? Minnesota don't have the wind. They do have the cold. Wisconsin, upper Michigan is cold, but again, they don't have that.
They don't have the wind. But so if I'm going to be honest, New York still has winter.
Yeah.
And I'm not interested in snowbirding or even a good portion of my year being in New York.
But they've got a lot of neat history.
They do.
And that's the other thing is that so what we're into with the Victorian era, it's like there's a sweet spot on. I'm not saying that you can get too far east almost, and a lot of the history goes back pre-Victorian.
It's too old.
Yeah, so you end up with a lot of colonial style.
Yeah, like Civil War era before.
Yeah. Plantation houses.
I'm not into that.
Yeah. Just a different style that we're not. It's like Tudors. We're not into Tudors either,
The Tudor style home, kind of like Scandinavian.
What was this comment there? I didn't see it.
Which one? They just tuned in and they're gonna rewind and watch the rest of it. They like watching this. Yes.
By all means, that's the one thing good about live. We can not only can we interact, but also you can go back and watch it whenever you want.
So to be clear, we're kind of in like a Florida's too far south, South Carolina's kind of too far south, New York's too far north. We're kind of in a.
Our pocket seems to be that we're looking through, and everything we've seen. Illinois, it's kind of funny because just looking at real estate in general, let's just go through and just have some fun.
Gold.
Just looking at real estate in general everywhere, right? California, like taxes, the policies, they're just not friendly towards anything we do, the arid states, so Arizona, New Mexico, generally we can pretty much write those off the map. Those aren't anything we're usually interested in. We like mountains, with trees, and I'm not saying those places don't have spots of that. Think of Flagstaff, Arizona, for example, or I think. Anyway,
and we're not, and I think personally we're not really into like rocks, like red rocks, like Southwest, kind of like Utah. We're not into rocks.
Texas, again, same thing, dry, and again the heat. The heat is. We don't want to be hot. We don't want to be cold. So you go back, Washington, Oregon. Oregon's beautiful. Oregon's, the west side of Oregon is beautiful.
They don't really favor what we do either. They've gotten really like eco-friendly.
Washington's gotten that bad.
That kind of mentality. And for us, like we sell classic car parts. So unless it's going to like turn into something electric, I don't think they're that. There's car memorabilia and car things everywhere.
Yes.
But for the most part, there's like a sweet spot in the east, like Midwest Appalachia. PA is just such a good mix of that.
You're in Winnipeg, huh, Kelly?
Well,
you're from Winnipeg.
I'm from Winnipeg.
Yeah, Winnipeg's.
That's close.
That's close. Yep. That's only 90 minutes from here.
Do you live there now, or are you from there? Because if you're living there, y'all had a pretty good thunderstorm a couple nights ago. I guess it just exploded over you. come to North Georgia. It's God's country. You know, we've looked at North Georgia at a couple places.
Yep.
And you're right. There is a few spots there that are just about right. It's God's country.
I tell you what, Atlanta ain't.
Oh my gosh.
That's Hell's Canyon.
We don't like Atlanta.
Atlanta's, I've never seen nuttier drivers than in Atlanta. I mean, everywhere you get on the west side of the Appalachians, I mean, the east side of the Appalachians, they're batshit crazy. But
Like
Atlanta's
81,
a whole
95.
nother level of stupid. I'm telling you, when it comes to driving.
Yeah.
But yeah, Georgias tend to be. I won't say it's like the borderline. It's a little warm there for us. But same with South Carolina. Definitely don't want to be anywhere on the. It's just anytime we delivered a GT40 kit car, Avenger GT, if you know what that is it South Carolina?
We delivered it to Stella, North Carolina. It was right on.
That was North Carolina.
North Carolina.
And it was hotter than hell and raining, and
it was 100 degrees and 100% humidity.
I mean, it was like, no.
Not for us.
So it's like, and what we've learned is looking at the humidity is anything east of the Appalachians is the humid side. So preferably the west side. So you get on to, we've got a friend that we know from Banner Elk, North Carolina. And, but again, these spots tend to be trendy as well. And he likes to say that they're, what he says, they're halfbacks there. In other words, they moved to New York to Florida and they moved halfway back. And that's where they find themselves. So there's that type of a thing.
I live in Silver Creek, close to Rome, Georgia. I make a lot of money in Atlanta, 60 miles away. I imagine there's a lot of people that commute to Atlanta.
Yep.
That's the way all cities, though. I feel like that's the way they are. Yeah, Chad's sister lives in Tennessee, and so we've visited many times in Tennessee, all different types of the year. And I remember we were down there I think it was in December, and we were like, December here, it's so cold.
Sitting on her porch,
listening to birds, drinking coffee, and it's like, this is amazing. Like,
they're all inside freezing their butts off, and we're
cold.
like, oh man, this is nice. Go outside, our t-shirt and a little sweater on.
Yeah. So
she's like, oh, it's so dreary, and I'm like, I'd take this any day.
We also looked
is that a cardinal?
Right. We looked at a property that was in Tryon, North Carolina, I think. It's right on the border of the state, going into, I can't remember where exactly it is. I live in Western Quebec now. Okay. So anyway, this property, it fit pretty good too, but it didn't have enough going for us. And so it was historic, but not old enough. It didn't really have a bunch of architecture that we really loved.
We're very particular as far as that goes.
So I was talking to Chat GPT about it, and sometimes they'll bring up
her friend AI.
Connie is what I call him. Anyway, I was discussing the situation, and they had said, well, you're not picky, you're intentional. And I'm like, well, I guess that's a more positive way to say it, because like we said, or maybe I said, it can't be just any property. I want it to be something architecturally, what we want it to be, and then helpful to a community, small enough community. I don't want to be in a big city. My personality won't do well in a big city. And then I
want to go back though.
It needs to have like just certain credentials for us to make it work. Like it needs square footage, and it needs it just needs certain things for it to fit.
But because I was going through the country, and so then you go, okay, well, what about North Idaho and Montana?
It's too expensive.
It's gotten crazy. It's gotten very expensive, and we're from there, so
we know it.
The problem is when you leave somewhere and you go back and you go, this place, it'll never be the same. It'll never be the same, so, and besides the car culture there, it's a great car culture, but we ship almost nothing there.
Yeah.
So as far as a business we ship a lot to California. We ship a decent amount to Oregon, less to
Mhm.
Washington, less to Arizona and um, New
New
Mexico.
They don't ship much there. They
But you
have quite
get,
a bit of cars there. I'm sure they can pick off of. So why would they order
well,
it?
they do and they don't. So we sell certain things to certain places. So they've got really good metal there.
Yeah.
So, but a lot of things have been picked over too.
Yeah.
You know, so you get into those populous areas, and it's why we ship so much to. And again, we don't bag on or support the immigration thing in either way. You know, so for example, we do. It seems reasonable to us. We don't get involved in politics, but it does seem reasonable to us that if you are going to come to this country, the best way to do it is legally in order to make it safe. That seems just reasonable without even getting into politics. I will say that shipping what we do, a whole lot of Mexicans, you can't call them Spanish because they're not Spaniards, they're Mexicans,
Yeah.
but they're into the car culture. And so we would ship a lot of these. So we benefited greatly, we feel, from the immigrant population that came over, and now it has declined in a lot of ways through that era of vehicle. And so, because they would restore a lot of these 49 to 52 Chevys. So it's just interesting dynamic as far as that goes. But continuing west or eastward from those countries, the Midwest, a lot of it is tornado country. Even here, North Dakota ranked number 5 in tornadoes. We just happen to be on the northern edge, and we don't get it as much up here. Even though I did say that a tornado struck this town in 1909, went right down the street right here where we're at. Didn't touch this house, but touched the neighbor place. Destroyed a house on the end of a brick house in the end of the block, which they across the highway, which is a block away, literally a block away, 1 block away from the corner, a block north, excuse me. But they rebuilt the house out of the same bricks it was destroyed out of. Also, I've witnessed tornadoes here. We saw a wedge that hit. Where did that hit? That hit
like Rolla area.
Yep.
Like an hour west of here.
Heard the sirens go off. Beautiful, clear day. Drove to the top of the little hill on the outside of Langdon to where you could get a clear shot of it. And I was like, oh, I don't want nothing to do with that thing. That ain't no little stringy tornado. It's just a flat wedge.
It looked like a wedge, but it was an F2, I think.
Yep.
Architecturally interesting.
So then, anyway, and the tornado alley. So you're talking Oklahoma, Missouri. It's shifted west. South Dakota has that as well. Iowa seems to be a big center. Derechos left and right in Iowa. Illinois has it. And again, you go into Iowa. Iowa has some decent architecture. Dubuque is a really cool town if you've ever been there. Dubuque, Iowa is really, really cool. Illinois has got some great history, but again,
taxes are
might as well be paying taxes in New York.
Indiana is just it. I feel like Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio all kind of have, especially Western Ohio, they all kind of have that same agriculture of just flatland farming community.
Yep.
I live in that. I don't,
and we don't mind that, but we want to be somewhere in the hills or this other location where we wanted to have it be kind of an escape type of a thing too.
Yeah, I want something different.
Yep.
I have that here.
Mountains, back where we were at. So that leaves us with you talked about North Georgia.
Yes.
We would consider southern Iowa or southern Ohio to be about the same as North Georgia, kind of like the borderline. So southern PA, circle it around and just, touch the Appalachians.
Basically
barely into Maryland,
81, maybe Highway 81, and then like to the other side of Eastern Ohio.
So in all areas that we've looked at, climactic, not too hot, not too cold. A lot of times that area doesn't have a high crime rate. Not saying that there aren't drug issues, but a lot of it, just in general, the crime rate is decent.
Georgia is lovely. Yeah.
What else? What other things do we look at as far as weather?
Yeah.
It's not. There's nothing that's other than flooding.
Weather's a big deal for us because what the weather dictates so much of what we do here.
Yeah, and I mean, 6 months of the year we're risking our life. That's all there is to it. I mean, if the truck breaks down and you're out there and you get a ground blizzard, it can literally kill you. I tell that to people every year that come here. Oh, it's not that cold. You better respect it or it will kill you.
Yeah.
You know.
So I would say like weather, that's a big deal. Crime is a big deal just because who wants to live in a high crime area? And of course, like I don't know how to say this, but like a lot of coal country tends to have lower income, higher drug problem.
Yeah.
I don't know that I can be content in an area like that because
which is so for example
well,
areas in southern West Virginia, but a lot of times West
yeah,
Virginia it's hard to find that architecture anyway.
Yeah.
A lot of
We looked at the Itman store though.
Yeah, that was kind of an interesting one. We looked at the Itman store, and again, the kind of properties we look at, there are people who are just so. The Itman store, you can look that up too.
It's a really cool historical
ITMAN,
property too.
stone building, but it was. I sold my soul to the company store. That was the Itman store. So it was a coal town store, really cool history in an abusive way. Well, it is. It's interesting history. It doesn't mean it was good. It's like slavery. Slavery is interesting history, but it doesn't mean it's good.
We'll pay you so that way you can give us all your money back.
That's right. So then we'll set up a store. The coal companies, they would pay the employees. They'd set up a little town, which was Itman for this area, and they had this big fancy store, and you could buy everything.
Yeah.
Off of vouchers that you got from the coal company for working there. So you pretty much, they owned you in and out, So until that became illegal, and now they still do it. They just have a whole bigger pot that they do it in. It's not like anything's changed. They just learn how to avoid the laws. Anyway, but cool history on that building. But again, it worth nothing. And they were asking, I don't know, 250,000, owned by an old ex-senator, and
it's not worth that.
Just ends up being money grabbers who buy these old properties that are worth nothing, and then try to turn them for a big dollar, because they are rare.
And apparently it did sell, but I mean, we're talking about this property and some of these other properties that we've discussed. They're in the middle of nothing,
and they would literally take around. For an entity, they would take millions and millions of dollars to restore.
Yeah.
Millions of dollars.
Yep.
Again, unless you get somebody like us who's hands-on, who could get in there and actually do the work,
Yeah.
And the problem with that one is some of those buildings, it's like you got to find that sweet spot, because some of the buildings are so large, like that hotel in Grafton. It is so large that you're talking. You can't just get in there and do 3-phase electrical on your own,
Right.
There are some things that just don't go well for the average general contractor. Let's just say that. And so then you're hiring electricians to come in and do this stuff.
And commercial electricians.
And commercial, because you can't touch it because it's commercial. So there's a fine line that has to be flirted there.
Yep. So, yeah.
Anyway, that's our whole.
If anybody has any leads on really big square footage Victorian architectural property,
estate type things, we've probably already seen it, but
perhaps
you never know.
But we're always open to be looking at something else. What is your career? Georgia State is booming with businesses. Career. Well, I wouldn't call it a career, but
we're car people.
It's kind of a passion, I guess, that turned into a hobby, that turned into a business, and then really took off during COVID.
We sell classic car parts.
Yeah.
Vintage car parts. So we source an old car, rip it limb from limb, and sell all the parts.
And it kind of started out as like a side gig kind of thing, right? Because Chad is an artist and has pretty much funneled his creativity into building cars, painting cars, doing things like that. And usually for himself. Well, then he started a body shop when we lived in Idaho, and he would do like collision, and he would do some restoration, a lot of restoration.
What my motto, and again, I built a 30 by 40 shop in my backyard, literally with my own hands, hand built the garage doors, specials where they'd slide up the wall to utilize space. So I'm just an old school type of artisan type of an individual anyway. And so my motto there was anything on Mustangs and body work on anything. That's kind of what I would do. So I wasn't a collision shop per se.
No, but I'm just saying you would take on some insurance jobs just so that way we could get paid.
Yep.
Got to get paid for some things. But he did love doing restoration, and he did some really beautiful restoration jobs on Mustangs and various old vehicles. So when we moved over here, there was already 3 body shops here in town, and we're like, that isn't gonna fly. So we'll just stick with restoration. And so we've done restoration.
Actually, we started we did a bed and breakfast first.
Well, we always did restoration.
Yes, but when we did that on the side, and then we're like, oh, there's a need for it, and the body shops don't want to touch restoration here.
Right.
And where that's different,
really
because
time-consuming.
Yes, well, for the collision shop that we were next to in Idaho, literally down the block, they would do restoration as well. Whereas here, they pretty much they didn't want to touch the restoration, which is common, because it doesn't pay as well. It's very time-consuming. So we did some restoration. Well, doing restorations, same with Idaho, you end up with parts vehicles.
Correct.
Parts vehicles and parts. So we had a situation in our shop that we were using mainly, just a big Quonset building. We had enough room to restore 3 vehicles at the same time. So we had a Model A in there, a Cadillac, and a 47 to 54 Chevy truck.
Yeah.
So the guy with the Model A we were working on, he ended up getting cancer. And that happens. Things happen. Restorations are play toys. So you realize that more important things come up first. More important things like family. Your children have school, health issues, whatever you can think of, it's going to take priority over a play toy. So a lot of times those play toys get backburnered. And you try to minimize that as a running a restoration shop. But at the same time, you have limits too. So for example, back in Idaho, there was somebody that had a 57 Chevy they wanted me to restore. Okay, fine. I brought it in. Let's start doing the work on it. Oh, I don't have the money right now, but I can pay to store it there. I'm not a storage facility. My space is too valuable for that. Well, I can pay you $100 a month. That's barely enough for storage. You need to get it out of here, or we need to work on this thing. And so finally, it ended up to be the situation where you draw the line and you go, if I'm not working on it, I'm pushing it out of the shop.
Gotta have the space.
And it's amazing how quickly he came and got it, But whereas before he wouldn't, because his wife wouldn't let him have it in the garage. As soon as I pushed it out of the shop, he came and got it. But those are the kinds of things you run into. So this guy ended up having cancer. He was actually a brother on a Model A we were working on. And so that got pushed to the back burner. Then we went on to the Cadillac, started doing a little work on the Cadillac. The guy with the Cadillac, they went through a hurricane.
A big one.
Yep. And so then about that time, I think we went back to the Model A.
And we finished the Model A.
Yep. And we had the truck back there too. I'm trying to remember how all this happened.
And so
then the guy with the Model A ended up going and having another cancer situation. So that got backburnered again. We went to the Cadillac. His wife died. Then we're like, okay, well, we'll transfer it to the truck. Go to the truck.
No.
That guy died.
The wife with the Cadillac and the guy with the truck died within a week apart, and it just completely jammed up the shop. And we're like, we've got to make money somehow. We got to do something. And so we started selling a few parts on eBay that we just had laying around,
which we'd always done, but we just went to do it a little bit more.
But we needed to make some money.
Yep. And so I'm trying to think of how that happened.
That was like
2016, 17.
Yeah.
Anyway, and then it ended up to where we got into a niche of these certain vehicles, and it
Yeah.
took off. We did some Galaxy stuff that took off at that time period. And it, you know, with cars, it's ebb and flow.
Yeah.
So one car will be hot for a while and then it may fall off. Or
Yeah.
there are only certain parts of a car that'll hot for a while, you know, and then it will fall off.
So then when COVID happened in 2020,
everybody's
it
at
was
home.
like everybody needed something to do, and they were buying parts for their projects, and they were doing some of the work themselves, or they were paying shops, you know, or whatever. And it was like, okay, well, we've got all these parts, let's just start selling more. Chad will start listing more parts. And it just went crazy.
Yep.
And so it was like, well, I guess this is better than restoration. I mean, the guy that died, his family took the truck back, and the guy with the A, you know, he obviously had his car back. And the guy with the Cadillac, it was like, well, you know,
it's still in our shop. We haven't touched it. We went on to something else, and you know,
and it's like in a safe place, you know.
And we're like, we just come get it when you need it. You know,
Yeah.
we're not going to be able to do it anymore. It's been past that time.
But it's really stressful when you have all this work lined up, but there's no money coming in. So you got to figure out a way to make some kind of money. And 6 months of the year, it's 0 or 30 below. You can't roof, you can't really do much construction, but we can do parts. So we just stuck with doing parts.
Yep. And we still, you know, we still dabble in other stuff. We can always, we still do other things on the side as well. But right now, the main focus is, I'd say about 60-40 is parts. 60% of it's
Georgia
doing parts.
State is the best bet for you. I'll have to look at Georgia closer. I feel like Georgia, here's the thing with Georgia. What I've seen of Georgia is really great. But South Georgia and North Georgia is obviously not the same, right? Sorry, I'm getting really congested. And y'all get some bad weather, but the humidity can be so dense. And maybe I shouldn't say this with Chad being gone, but if he gets hot, like physically warm, like if he's in a warm environment, it's like his personality changes. And he's not the most nicest person. No, he's not nice. So I don't know. Georgia could work for us. But I will look at it because I have heard other people say that there's sort of a sweet spot in the northwest corner. Right? It's just right under Tennessee, if I remember correct. But I'll look some more. There was a couple places in, what's that website called? Old House Dreams. He can wear one of those cool neck necklaces. Yeah. I don't know if he'd tolerate it, but it's a good recommendation. I'm trying to think what that place was called. Is it called Sparta? Is somebody else say something about Sparta? I'm trying to remember. Anyway. It was a Victorian, but again, going back to those intentional credentials of what we're looking for. We can find Victorian homes on every corner in most communities that we're looking in. But we need some kind of building or space. And I'd rather buy a building than build a building because, again, you cannot build architecture like they had 100 years ago.
It's got soul.
And you can't build history. You just can't build it.
What's that town? There's a town that, it's funny because you look at old pictures and we just love doing that. But you'll find a town somewhere. There's one in West Virginia. Coal Country had a neat, you know, so Dawson was one of those places. West Union has a cool, Dawson, Pennsylvania doesn't anymore. There are a couple of buildings remaining, but what it was really cool. They just tear down so much. To find anything that's still left is striking. Another one that's West Union still has some of its old buildings. What they have there is their cool courthouse. The courthouse is phenomenal. It's amazing.
Doddridge County Courthouse.
Doddridge County Courthouse.
It's the best one in the whole state, if you ask me.
Let's see what else. What's that town that we look at that's in West Virginia as well that
It
has
was
all that
called
Mannington?
Mannington.
Cool. If you find the old pictures of that town, it was just absolutely unbelievably Victorian awesome. I mean, they still have a very cool school there. Um, yeah, so I mean, you find towns like that, and it seems like all these places I seem to be bringing up are in Pennsylvania and whatever. But it's like, and you don't find that often in New York, for example. Another one is Jim Thorpe. That's a great.
Jim.
That's what I said.
Okay.
Jim Thorpe.
Yeah.
That's another
PA. It's
fabulous
very
town that's
touristy
like
though,
that.
but
Yeah.
the architecture is amazing.
Yeah. But a lot of times that architecture gets revamped. There's even a Facebook page or Facebook site that's called, it's probably one of these restoration sites, but they'll show what a building was versus how they bastardized it today. So in other words,
Modernized
it
it.
was had a turret on it and beautiful architecture, and they took the turret off and blasted the side with freaking straight flat glass, and it looks like a mirror box. So but I mean, so to find that stuff is it's got to have a sweet spot of depression. Is that the right word I'm using on?
Kind of grit.
Yeah.
I think it's more what you're asking or
Yeah,
what you're
but
saying.
it's like the economy hasn't boomed there. It's like go to New York City. New York City probably had some of the best architecture in the world,
Sure.
right? But try to find any of it today. It's not there. Why? Because it's all been modernized. So it's not there
There's
anymore.
Still a little bit there.
Yeah, but I mean, just in general, I'm just giving an idea of the general statement that I'm coming from, that if you find a town that's done well economically, odds are they don't have the history there anymore because they've done away with those buildings to replace whatever comes next.
Yeah. Someone said, have you thought about teaching your craft? Home Depot, I heard on the radio, is opening up a program, need instructors to teach their craft. Home Depot, I feel like is more of like a construction thing where, like, for example, we can bring in a vehicle. We've done this now multiple times just this last month. We bring in a vehicle and within the week it's torn apart, limb from limb, body off, motor out. Everything's off. You just rip it apart and itemize it and shelve it.
I think Jane's talking about what we do as far as construction stuff too. And I don't
there's a lot of good people that can do crafts though.
I don't feel like that we do anything special in that regard, except for we just do it. And I think the main thing that we do is that I always call myself a hack of all trades. So in other words, we're just not afraid to get in there, and we're not afraid to get in there and do it. So it's like I talked about with the windows. You don't need to go and replace all the old windows in an old house. Single pane glass is literally free. And I bring this up again because it's such a shining example of the waste of money from bureaucracies, whether governmental or organizational. And it's one of the things that you'll dump money into that you don't need to. $500 per window on the low end. $500. And to buy some stupid vinyl window that really sucks anyway. I mean, the worst window in our house is a double pane vinyl window. I can literally feel the wind come through the glass. It's horrid. But glass is cheap. You fix a couple of pieces of wood, router out a couple of sections maybe that if you need to do anything, and you scrape out the old dried up caulking, you caulk the new pane of glass in it. It's just third grade. There's no craft to it. It's just get in there and do it. So that's one of those things in restoration that you can do that is so simple that totally gets blown out of proportion by bureaucracies. Again, both governmental and organizational, NGOs, non-government, whatever organization they're going to set up for restorations that they just fleece the government dollars from.
Savannah, Georgia has some amazing architecture there.
Yeah.
We've looked at a couple places in Savannah, but again, it's hard to find. And I think the other thing is everything we have is spread out, and I would really like it to be within at least eye shot of one another, which is why that Dawson place worked so great, because it was literally across the street. So if that's possible,
Yeah, and again, this is a situation where we're not looking like, okay, well, we need to move and we're going to put something together. It's more like, okay, if we're going to do anything, this is what we're going to do. Otherwise, we're not going to bother with it. And like you
Yeah.
said, that Dawson place, there are very few properties that end up. A lot of times it would be an old estate type property, just to be, so because it would have
Right.
some land, it
Right.
would have an old house on it of some sort. And, again, it can be run down to whatever, but finding those I've even played with looking at overseas. Not that I say I would ever do it, but just my fascination goes wild sometimes. But French castles, chateaus, those are that type of idea.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. We're just kind of ranting and just speaking with y'all, but
Here we're treating YouTube as if it's dinner hour.
yeah. Overseas is scary now. Got more freedom here. Yeah, I've watched a little bit of the news. It's getting weird everywhere.
Yeah.
It's just getting weird everywhere.
How's it in Canada? I've heard a lot of people.
I don't know.
It seemed like
I don't know if Kelly's still around.
Yeah, we just see different posts in different places of the world that having I don't know, issues with governments or whatever. Yeah, I'm not, like I said, I'm not saying that we'd ever do it, but it's a what do you call that? Just an artful musing.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. If not, then it won't. Hello, friends. Greetings from suburban Chicagoland.
Chicagoland, another place with excellent architecture, but how in the hell do you pay the taxes
How
there?
do you?
I make a joke about that. Our taxes here, literally, well, we had a street special applied,
Oh, brother.
which I don't agree with the way it was done, for whatever that's worth, just because of, I think there's some older people that have older houses in lower income community, the lower income side of community.
They have a fixed income.
Fixed income, right. And now they're having to pay a special on their property taxes that could literally make it go 500 times the amount. No, 5 times the amount. 500%. Yeah.
Better than my time in Denver. Is Denver expensive? Denver was horrible. I don't know what taxes are in Denver. We've always just looked at it, the prices there, and the vibe just isn't our vibe. We're not city people.
Yeah, and again, anything we're looking at isn't more. It would too. And it's hard to find Chicagoland. Now, Chicagoland isn't really Chicago, though, right? Isn't Chicagoland?
Well, he says suburban Chicagoland. So
yeah,
it could be like
no, but Chicagoland is an actual place, correct? It's like on the map. It's not like saying, it's not a figure of speech. I believe Chicagoland is an actual place. Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe I saw that on the map.
Yeah, Phil, correct Chad. Please correct him.
That's my wife.
Addison, Illinois. So is it, I assume it's outside Chicago. I got an idea. Men's shed. New concept start. One of those for mostly retired. Well, that was fast. It's a big thing in Europe, only a few here in the U.S. "15 miles west of Chicago."
Yeah, so on the skirts of Chicago. Chicago is another one of those booming towns that you probably aren't going to find any history in Chicago because, again, it always gets up. It's been modernized. But on the skirts, oh man, there's all sorts. There was a place in Illinois we were looking at that was outside of Dubuque.
Where?
That stone place.
What stone place?
That stone place. It had a creek right next to it. It was across the border.
Oh, that was down by the Quad Cities.
Yep.
Yeah, that was a pretty neat place. It looked like a castle.
It was really cool. But I mean, had land. Only problem was it was in Tax, Illinois.
I will Google that. Right by O'Hare Airport. We've been to Chicago a few times, and we try to avoid driving through it because, well, we're always heavy
avoiding
and
cities.
60 feet long, and it's just not fun to just drive through a big city. So if we go through there, it's like in the middle of the night. But we had to let's see, we picked up the Anglia there, and we had to drive into, I can't remember what it was called.
Yeah, there was a port there.
But we had to drop off
an international drop-off location.
Yes. And that was like going through the wrong time.
Traffic.
So when we go through Illinois, we usually go through Rockford and then skirt the whole thing.
We will drive an hour south to avoid Chicago.
We have to.
We've got a hellacious story where we were coming back on, is it 80?
I grew up in the city. Avoid the inner city at all cost.
Yeah.
All cost. All of it, including tolls.
Yeah, we were trying, that's the other thing, we were trying to avoid the tolls, and sometimes you're just better off paying them. But I think it was 80. Is it 80 that comes down through south of there? Whatever highway we were on, we got bad fuel for one, and because it was
30.
one of these.
It was Highway 30.
And then it like dead-ended somewhere in suburbia Chicago, the highway did. And we're just, get me the hell out of
I was
here.
getting angry. And I'm always the navigator.
Middle of summer, pumping the clutch on a 96 diesel with the 7.3 in it, crew cab, that 96 we've got. Oh, geez.
39. That's the north and south interstate through the Illinois. That's the one toll that we'll pay. But the Highway 30 goes like to Fort Wayne, I think.
Now we shoot south of there and then shoot across usually. Although I think this last time because the problem is the tolls, you still got to stop every damn 2 miles.
Unless you get one of those
easy passes.
Yes, and you can sneak through that.
Yeah, but I thought there was, does the easy pass apply in Chicago now? I thought the last time we went through there, you still had to stop.
Oh man, those cities are zoos though. All of them are. All cities are.
Yeah.
When we go back to New York to deliver we haven't been in quite a while to deliver to the New Jersey port, but oh my gosh, I remember that one time we had to go through and it was like, okay, we're just going to stop and sleep before we go through. And we were literally driving there at 2-3 in the morning just so we could avoid everything. And then when we found the place and we parked, we just locked the doors. And we took turns sleeping like every 20 minutes because we didn't know anyone or trust it,
It's the heart of the port of New Jersey.
We were nervous. And we were delivering a 67, one or two 67 Mustangs and 390 motors and a whole bunch of things for this one person from Europe. He always buys our 390 S codes. Anyway. We showed up, funny story. And it was like 7-8 in the morning, and everybody's showing up.
All the truckers are in there in line first thing in the morning, and I'm like, we've got a 67 Mustang on the trailer. You need to come get it off of there. And I just walked to the front of the line, and they're like, you need to get in line and wait. I'm like, you're not understanding me. You need to get this off my trailer, and you need to get it off now. Because the thing was, all those truckers are there. They don't collect their money until after they get delivery. We don't do that.
We've already been paid.
We've already been paid. So I said, we're going to push it out on the grass if you don't come get it. Well, you can't do that. That's illegal. So I don't give a shit. I'm pushing it off. You either come get it off or I'm going to. Sure enough, I pushed one off on the grass, was dragging the motor off with the winch and dumped that on their front lawn.
Yep.
Boy, it's amazing how quickly they got a forklift out there.
And we were unloaded and out of there in half an hour. But then it's like, I'm trying to remember if it was the same trip. You can't fill up in New Jersey your own fuel because they pump it for you in New Jersey.
That and Oregon. Those are the only two you can't do your own fuel.
So we had to figure out how to get fuel, and then they wouldn't serve us because we weren't semi.
Yeah, so we went to the they had a thing against hot shots, which were not hot shots, but we looked like them, I guess, but they wouldn't fuel us up. The truck stops wouldn't service us.
So anyway, we got out of town and we were able to get fuel and we were fine, but
crazy.
Oh, those trips are hard to do. It takes a lot of preparation and it's pretty stressful to be on the road for like 4 or 5 days and got to babysit the trailer, babysit the truck, babysit each other. Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah, so making that many trips, I'd say we go back east. I mean, even we went back there this year.
yeah, we went to New York in May.
We went back and picked the Daytona up there. So we do so many trips back there. We've got a decent amount of experience in the area.
Yeah, it makes sense for us to look there because we're there quite often, like at least once a year, twice a year. And we ship so much east. We just ship so much east. Well,
We,
that's where the people are, other
yeah.
than California, really. I mean,
And anything east of the Mississippi is rustland. So that's
yeah.
where a lot of the metal goes.
And a lot of if we sell or ship a frame, it goes that way. Everything goes that way, it seems like. So
Yep.
if we hauled it out and had a place for it, it would be really
Right.
helpful to everyone,
Yep. And then, so I don't know. That's all future possibilities, but that's now we're an hour and a half into explaining or 2 hours in why we were explaining why we were
one question is all it took.
looking at a place on that side of the country, why we were looking over there. So it's just about North Dakota living in winter is very difficult. I'll just say that. Lots of positives here. Lots of positives.
Yeah.
But winter ain't one of them. So if you can, there's a lot of people here that live here that they consider this their home, yet they're not here every winter. They've got a place in Florida. I don't know how many farmers I know with places in other countries.
Have we been here 20 years?
Yeah.
This will be our 20th winter.
2006. So yeah.
6. Yeah, I think so. 20. This will be our 20th winter.
Mm-hmm. And they say at the cold, you get acclimated. No, you don't. You don't get acclimated. No. What you do is you get used to being cold.
You're just cold. Right now, I'm cold.
But I mean,
it's not even that bad yet. I think it's like, what does it say? 50 degrees? I think it's 50.
But that's what's so funny. So, for example, we were, and again, West Virginia, the heart of America, right? With the state, with the way the state line's drawn out. But that's kind of the heart of the area. So again, North Carolina, PA, southern tip of Ohio, Virginia on the angle section, the corner of Tennessee, but that's kind of the sweet spot in general. If you look at their temperatures and our temperatures in the summer, not too far off. But in just a little bit, we will drive off of a cliff. And we will go from, this is perfect right now. It was 80 last week. Yesterday. And we will be in a freeze.
Tomorrow night. Tomorrow night. Monday night, 28 degrees.
And so then from there, it just all of a sudden our spring and our summer, our spring and our fall are cliffs. There is no spring and there is no fall. It's
a hard transition too, because you can't get acclimated very quickly. There's no gradient.
So we'll be neck and neck kind of with that region, which I love the summers here. The summers here are not too hot. Very rarely is it over 90. I can't. 90 is even rare.
We get high 80s often.
Yeah, but it's just not. It's 85 is about the nominal, summertime temperature. 80 to 85.
We had a question. Where are you both from? Where each were you born at? We're both from North Idaho, but Chad was born.
We don't say we were born, but I was raised in Washington.
Yeah, I was just going to
say Seattle area.
He was, that's exactly what I was going to say. He was born in the Seattle area with his family, and his family and my family are from North Idaho.
Yep.
Yeah. So we're mountain people, but now we're prairie people, but we really are mountain people.
Mountain people. I was talking to the neighbor when I moved here, and he said, when I get in the mountains, I get claustrophobic. I'm like, oh, that's kind of like a blanket for me. And he says, so what's it like here for you? And I said, like sleeping with the blankets off. And like, okay, I guess I understand that. Whereas for him, that's where he got his peace of mind, being able to, see his dog run away for 3 days. That's a North Dakota joke.
Yeah. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah.
I feel like we've been sitting here a long time. I'm really cold.
Seattle is a interesting place anymore.
Georgia State has beach and mountains and lovely landscape. It does. It has everything, really.
Yep.
But like I said, I think the humidity and the heat might just be too much
Yep.
for Chad.
Definitely the coast wouldn't work for me. No way.
I'm just saying, even the northern section, like we've been in Tennessee, just above that, even in the summertime, and it's almost too hot. It really is almost too hot for Chad. Like I said,
I'm Italian. I'm hot-blooded. Wrenches will fly.
Turns into the Christian personality is right out the window. I'll just say that this is not the same. It's not the same person. Something happens.
It gets overheated. What happens when you boil water? It evaporates.
Because I've looked at Florida too, but I know they got I don't know.
We made a delivery to Florida once, went to Miami. Oh my God.
In August.
So what's funny is that I lived in Fort Lauderdale as a kid. After my mom got divorced, moved down to Fort Lauderdale. Anyway, and that was little blonde hair, blue-eyed kid. Wouldn't even notice it now, but recognize me now. But yeah, anyway, the whole flipper era.
You gotta get to the point of your delivery. We went and did a delivery.
Yes, but we went and did a delivery there, and we had to sleep with the AC on and the truck running because there was no way in hell we were going to be able to survive.
It was hot. What is this? There's another idea. Create a fish camp on lake. Church groups and Boy Scouts come on weekends. The guy at Virginia State had one only open in the summer, made lots of money. Interesting.
Yeah, there are all sorts of different business ideas that somebody could have. Seemed like manufacturing with the way the administration currently is pumping that up. But again, a tax write-off really doesn't really help you too much. It's like saving 20%,
Yeah, we're just fine.
All this was just to explain why we had that property on Rides with Jay Thomas.
Really, it is. Yeah, but it just kind of fleshed out a little bit because there was one question as far as like, would we sell our home? I can't promise that, but
that's not the immediate intention.
It's a transition, that's for sure. We just have so much to consider. Yeah. Being a welder, when I get hot, I'm not very nice to be around. I know, right. Exactly right. But yeah, keep home income in the summer. And we've considered that too.
Yep. And that's, like I said, there's a lot of people that consider this their home, and yet they're not here all winter long.
Yeah.
Yeah,
6-7 months. A lot of people go to Arizona.
Yeah, Arizona, Florida. We know people that have condos in Florida.
Some people go to Hawaii.
Yeah.
Like there's a farming couple, they go to Hawaii for like months on end.
Or it's amazing how well traveled North Dakotans can be.
For real.
So it's weird because you can, as we said on Rides with Jay Thomas, you could find people who are raised on their property, born on their property.
Yeah.
And they've been on that property for generations. And sometimes they barely ever leave that property. And sometimes they're the best well-traveled people you'd ever met. They've been around the world and they've done this and been there and done that. And, they're just not, it's not, I guess winter's pretty easy when you're not here.
Yeah. There's just always a lot to consider with a transition like this, and also with the type of work that we do. We could do something else, but this is what we know that's working for us right now.
Yeah, we're not even tied to this,
like, what do you collect? Venture. Some people collect little things like coins. What do we collect? Cars. Huge things. Which you need big buildings for.
Cars and cast iron stoves and cast iron. Tiffany says if it weighs 1 million pounds,
he's going to buy it. I have carried so much heavy things.
All right, we're getting on 2 hours, way too long.
Yeah.
Much love, y'all.
Rambo. Sorry.
Hope you're all doing well. This has just been kind of a roundtable chit chat.
A little bit, yeah.
And I
Little
don't know.
explanation.
We enjoy it. People don't enjoy it. They don't want to watch it. They don't have to.
Yeah, they don't. No. But thanks for sticking around.
Good chatting with
I'll
you.
put out
Jane,
another.
Kelly, Sparky.
Yep. The next time we do a live, I'll just put out another little. We're going live in a short amount of time. That's usually when we know. We usually have an idea within a few hours, but.
Hi, Donna.
Good to see you again. Hello.
I don't know how many people are on there, but I appreciate you being there.
Between 8 and 12 people usually stick around at any given moment.
Listen to us ramble.
Yep.
And maybe we'll have something a little more JW related. I wish we had something more religious related. I just can't figure out what to do as far as that goes, because religion has this stigma with me now. It's, and I say religion, not the Bible.
Right.
But religion every time turns into an oppressive.
It's icky.
Yeah.
It's just icky.
And I less worried about it being icky feeling and more worried about being oppressive to someone. And no matter how good your intentions are, it doesn't matter how good Brother Russell's intentions were in the beginning, if they were noble, someone, the next generation, can just warp it and use it as a control tactic. So that's the tough part. But yeah, we I'd love to be able to focus on more biblical things, but how do you do that without being dogmatic and yet still clinging to truth as you know it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if we get that figured out, maybe we'll conquer the world.
The next time. Thank you.